Today's session is scheduled to last 30 minutes and we'll recap on a very successful seminar that we held a fortnight ago in central London with over 90 attendees who were interested in enhancing their volume recruiting, attending and scoring feedback as highly positive. We've two speakers joining us today and I have great pleasure in introducing them. First up is Steve Young, who is a Business Development Manager here at WCN. Steve's our resident volume recruiting expert, and he's worked with many recruiters handling high volume applications over the last 10 years, and we're very glad to have him passing on his expertise today. We're also thrilled to be joined by a WCN client and technology partner in Sandeep Vandal, Director at Penna, who's very kindly joined us to answer any questions that you might have. Sandeep has worked in the industry for over 15 years now in a variety of resourcing and attraction roles and has successfully delivered resourcing projects on behalf of PwC, Lloyds Banking Group and Empower, to name but a few. Before I hand over to our speakers, let me just run through a few housekeeping points. All the lines are muted throughout this webinar. If you do have any questions and you are online, you can raise them in the questions panel on your pane, or you can use or you can email us on marketing@wcn.co.uk if you're listening on the phone instead. You can see our Twitter details on the screen as well, so if you want to socially mention us, feel free. Our handle is WCN_EREP. And the hashtag is WCN webinar. So without further ado, let me hand you over to Steve, who will share with you some of the fabulous expertise that was shared with stakeholders a fortnight ago.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the session today. As Joe mentioned, 2 weeks ago, WCN ran a hugely engaging and interactive seminar on the future of volume recruitment. And before I take you through the highlights of the seminar, and here's a list of some of the attendees, let me just introduce you to WCN if you haven't worked with us before. WCN, which stands for World Careers Network, is the strategic partner for some of the world's most respected organizations, spanning a broad range of industry sectors on a local and global basis, including banking and finance, retail, central and local government, and public service and not-for-profit organizations. We are an established leader in our field with a fantastic heritage as pioneers of talent acquisition technology on a cloud-based platform. We provide a best-in-class and feature-rich system for volume resourcing and recruitment. Robust, reliable and user-friendly, trusted by UK's most security-conscious organisations, with other feature-rich modules specifically built for the acquisition of volume and emerging talent. Speed, accuracy and relationships, all underpinned by technology. They're all needed now and they will be needed even more in the future. So our vision at WCN is to create highly engaging, intelligent and virtualised solutions so you can engage and hire the best before the rest. The rate the technology and solutions are developing will only accelerate the results that can be achieved on performance, speed, quality, diversity and cost of recruitment. So let's now look at the recent seminar. There were two key themes. There were automation and candidate experience that came out of the seminar. Or to translate that, can you improve speed and efficiency through automation whilst positively impacting on quality of hire? So what does the audience think? What do you think? Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer that. We put up our first poll. What do you consider most important, automation or candidate experience in volume recruitment? And great if you could vote now. Okay, we have results coming through. Okay, excellent. What I'm seeing is a high proportion, the importance of candidate experience. So absolutely fascinating results, and we'll reflect on that as we go through the session. So let me take you through some highlights of the event. The resourcing manager for Waitrose and John Lewis branches, JLP, John Lewis Partnership, as I'm going to call them today. Her name is Kat Butler-Jetkema. She outlined her organisation's experience. She discussed how the retail giant accepts over 400,000 applications per year for 30,000 vacancies, all underpinned by the WCN volume solution. This is fully integrated with their HR system, their assessment provider, and their background checker. Using the WCN system, which you can see here, a partner, which is their definition of an employee, can start in 17 days from the time the vacancy goes live. As part of their process, all candidates offered a realistic job preview before applying to help them determine if the role is right for them. Advertisements run for 5 days on the system and include testing to screen out unsuitable fits before being sent to the hiring manager. Interviews are then coordinated in batches to make the process more efficient for store staff, with start dates no later than 5 days after the decision is made. Now, interestingly, JLP, John Lewis, have put a value on candidate experience. They have calculated that £4.8 million of customer spend is at stake every year based on the average spend of applicants. So let me repeat that, £4.8 million of customer spend. So if even 10% have a bad candidate experience, they risk losing £480,000. In addition to the faster time to hire, JLP has also realised efficiency improvements using WCN. And we're showing the process here. Assessment centres are run jointly across London, for example, seeing 32 candidates in a day so that duplicate applicants are eliminated. Interestingly, and again looking at one of their parts of their process, they find that email or text is much more effective than a phone call for ensuring interviewees turn up. Results have been notable. It has helped to reduce line manager interview time by 33% and a subsequent reduction of 18% in cost per hire. So we talked quite a bit about candidate experience and the value. We'd also just like to introduce another poll question amongst the audience. Do you put a value on good or bad candidate experience? And great if you could respond now. Okay, we're getting some answers through. Thank you all for responding. So we have 67%, they do put a value on, so that's very interesting. So there's actually a metric against good or bad candidate experience. We then had a presentation from Met Police and SSCL. Now, Met Police work in association with SSCL, who are a division of Sopra Steria, and they provided terrific insights into how their mission statement of keep London safe drives their resourcing strategy. And they also reflected on the importance of diversity throughout their recruitment cycle. We then finished off with a session led by Ben Turner, recently promoted to HR Director at Well Pharmacy. Now, for those of you who don't know Well, they're the third largest pharmacy chain in the UK, serving 1.3 million customers every week and dispensing 74 million prescriptions each year. They were formerly the Co-op Pharmacy, which is where you might know them. The business was acquired by Bestway in October 2014, and their strategic goals, shown here, necessitated a review of their HR and resourcing strategy. And they wanted to revamp their resourcing process, taking it from a centralized shared service to a center of excellence, partnering directly with the business and creating an effective framework that enables the hiring manager to recruit great candidates. So the new process had to be hiring manager led, working with the resourcing team, but with the candidate experience as the top priority. Now this would involve a more blended approach to attraction, utilizing varied job boards, social media, CV databases, and a proactive attraction campaigns, all using the WCN volume solution. Now Ben explained how the system, the WCN system, was helping to make hiring less of a task within the business, allowing the firm to accelerate recruiting with very busy pharmacists, and also to bring in a new culture too, but really with the candidate experience at the center of the strategy. In fact, candidate experience also seems to be scoring highly, with 90% satisfaction recorded every quarter, and they survey their candidates who apply. In terms of how they use the system, they use system dashboards to inform them of user activity, where the bottlenecks are, and wanted usability for the most infrequent user to be as user-friendly as possible. Someone who may only log in once or twice a year, so something that's simple, automated, and flexible. As well as delivering some great results, Ben also reflected on the evaluation process before he selected WCN, including ensure you know exactly what you need from the system and aim to be as self-sufficient to make the changes yourself. Now, for our final poll, I'd just like to take back to the audience, what recruitment model do you have for volume hires? Is it centralized, decentralized, or hybrid? Great if you could answer now. Okay, we have the responses coming through. Okay, great. So in terms of results, we have 60% taking a centralized approach. So we have John Lewis with a more centralized approach, while pharmacy with a more decentralized approach. So again, a good mixture there. So finally, I just wanted to reflect on the results of the WCN volume survey overview. WCN surveyed key individuals with volume hire experience and generated some interesting results, a couple of which I'm going to share with you today. First of all, we asked about some of the biggest challenges in volume recruitment. Now, interestingly, the survey identifies quality of hire as the biggest challenge, but actually candidate satisfaction quite low, which maybe contradicts the first poll that we ran around candidate engagement. Second survey result I wanted to share with you was that more and more organizations are evaluating candidate fit on motivation and attitude rather than skills and qualification. As you can see here, attitude and motivation score most highly. So it perhaps begs the question, for volume recruitment, is it really essential to have a CV when you can maybe assess on different areas? Okay. Looking points in the survey. If you'd like to know more about this and the other parts of the presentation, my contact details will be available at the end of the session. So now it's your chance to ask the questions. I'm just going to hand over to Sandeep and over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was really insightful and a great overview of what was a fantastic seminar for us a fortnight ago. I'd like to reintroduce Sandeep. Thank you very much, Sandeep, for agreeing to take part in this Q&A. Maybe if we can start with just asking you what great recruitment looks like at Penna from both a perspective as an employer and also as a service provider in the recruitment industry.
Sure. Well, Penna are a business who are about 250 strong in terms of employees. We practice exactly what we preach. We put our new employees that we bring on board through a rigorous assessment and selection process and aim to offer them a fantastic experience that they go and speak to their friends and family and colleagues about. So that's essentially what we do. So brand is very important to us, as is communication and keep warm. We recruit not only experienced hire, but also interns, apprentices and graduates. So we run the full spectrum of recruitment within our business. And the results are in the way our employees behave and how engaged they are with our business. We've got 4% attrition. We've got over 30% internal mobility. So we believe we're doing something right here. We've got a very engaged workforce, and that's partly due to their initial experience as part of the recruitment process. But generally, what does volume recruitment look like? What makes it great? Well, for me, it's making sure the candidate doesn't feel like they're part of the volume recruitment process. So it's making sure that they are being engaged with as a candidate and not as the masses. Volume recruitment, it's a very challenging process and workflow to manage, especially when you're going to lose the best part of 90% of the candidates that have actually initially expressed interest in the role for your organisation. So there is going to be a lot of disgruntled individuals who are disappointed for not actually getting the role. So it's about how you actually manage them, how you make sure the brand advocacy for your product or service is still very much a positive experience for them. And that all comes down to communication throughout and not over-processing it. So not using an ATS or a video screen in every single element of your process, but it's actually providing some human elements to that. Equally, what makes a great experience is actually understanding your audience. So it's about tagging your ATS platform and also the elements before to actually get the right sort of insight to what types of candidates are actually making an application. And how do you streamline that down, and how do you target the right sort of talent who would be suitable for your business?
Excellent, thank you. Yeah. So I'm guessing that the case studies there presented by JLP and Well Pharmacy in particular have some sort of resonance to your own experiences.
Yeah, very much so. They've got a good balance of using the right sorts of tools to provide realistic job previews, such as the situational judgment test, and it's one of the products we recommend to some of our clients where it's appropriate. Because it provides an insight to candidates of what the actual experiences will be like working for that employer if it's a bespoke SJT. I think those sorts of tools are really useful for building awareness of the challenges, but equally the objectives of the role that they're applying for. So candidates are going in with eyes wide open and completely aware right at the beginning. It's an opportunity for them to self-select out of the process quite early on and make their own decision about, is this employer and is this role actually suitable for me? If it's not, they may actually recommend it to somebody else because it's been an informed recruitment experience.
Excellent. And Steve, would you say that sort of advocacy challenge is quite common when you speak to volume recruiters?
Absolutely, and certainly we see referral as a major source of sourcing candidates. We work with a number of customers where they actually use our referral module to achieve that, Joe.
Thanks. I'm interested, Sandeep, from Penna's perspective, are you seeing issues with quality of talent at the moment? Is there disparities between what recruiters want and what's available on the market?
Quality is always a challenge. It's been one of those ongoing battles that we face within volume recruitment, and it's more about back to your research. It's around the motivation for individuals to actually do the job, and for the employer to make sure that they're actually hiring the right people and reducing attrition, so it's costing them less. For us, one of the challenges is around the measurement and actually understanding how to actually assess the candidates properly, and not using fad items within the marketplace such as gamification or otherwise, but it's actually having a purpose behind every piece of selection that we build into a process to make sure it's fit for purpose, it's right for that type of role, and it's, to my previous point, providing the right sort of insight back to the candidate, but equally providing the right sort of candidates right at the end of the funnel for the employer too.
And Steve, that was one of the things you highlighted in the JLP slides with lots of different technologies being used, but WCN really underpinning it and making sure that it runs smoothly for a candidate.
Yeah, the key thing is the candidate experience, and as Sandeep said, technology should just definitely be used as an enabler to do that. Just making sure it's consistent, but also underpinning any human interaction that takes place.
One of the other key trends there, Sandeep, that's emerging from those two case studies is how important innovation is in terms of driving volume recruitment now and being in touch with what candidates seem to want. I mean, what's Penner's experience of that?
Penner has been at the forefront of innovation, but again, it's always had to have a purpose. So we're very kind of aware and conscious of how we spend our clients' money, because it's budgets are always very tight, and everyone requires return on investment, and there needs to be an improvement and an impact, a positive impact to a recruitment process for all concerned. So a few years ago, we were the first to market with gamification in recruitment, and the only reason we developed that was it had a strong purpose behind actually creating awareness of an opportunity within a financial services firm. So we were the first to market with that. And we're also currently looking at virtual reality as another form of assessment as part of the recruitment process. And again, both items that I'm referring to are bespoke. So they've been built directly for a certain type of role type, and also on the platform of the cultures and values and behaviours that are required for that particular organisation. So none of these tools are off the shelf, so they're very much for that client alone, and that's typically how we work here at Penner. It's very much a tailored service depending on exactly what the objectives and challenges are.
Excellent, and that's something that resonates a lot with how WCN works with clients, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're genuinely excited about developments we're working on around predictive analytics. So using big data collected from a candidate's application to almost predict whether that candidate should be hired or not even before you interview. So it's still early days where we're testing this out with a couple of our customers, and we'd certainly like to show this to some of the audience at a future date, but still very early days, but using predictive analytics to really understand what your top performers will be like.
So one of the questions that's just come in is looking at trying to identify how to extract insights from campaigns that are run, and obviously JLP's had a good demonstration of how they managed to keep accelerating their process to get to that 17 days in there. Are there any particular new insights that you've picked up in recent times, Sandeep?
Over the course of the last 12 months, we've had a lot of our clients talk about the, very similar to JLP, this actually speed of recruitment. Going back to one of the challenges that we referred to earlier was the quality of candidates that are available. Particularly within the high volume marketplace, we need to ensure that we move very quickly, because most of these candidates tend to be applying for very similar roles for different organisations or competing organisations in the same locations, sometimes up to 4 or 5 different applications at the same time. So we need to make sure that the process itself is very slick, it's very engaging. It's important to drive content continuously through to the candidate as well. And that's really important, no matter if it's a 3-month process for a niche hire, or a volume-based process which is lasting 17 days. And that's what actually makes the biggest difference, is actually understanding what the culture, behaviours, the environment, what the employee experience will be like once they join the business, and not just all the information that they receive up front, be it via a career site or otherwise, or social media platform. They actually want more information, and the more that we can provide through the ATS and through the recruitment process, that's really important. And secondly, it's about reducing the amount of information that you're actually asking from a candidate. And you know, I'm sure colleagues at WCN have also experienced this, where we put application forms in which ask information which is never ever reviewed, not really relevant. So it's been critical as an employer to actually understand, what do I really need at this particular stage from a candidate to actually process their application through to the next stage, and to get them to the final assessment process within the recruitment. And that for me is really critical, because you can split out an application form, capture the core information up top, and then gather the information that's remaining right at the end, so that candidate is moving through a lot quicker and faster than they are for your competitors.
And Steve, how about you? Insights?
Absolutely. Sandeep, you talked all about collecting information. It's also critical at that stage to perhaps give information as well. And again, things we're developing and have developed with our customers, providing contextual video information, contextual links will inform a candidate, not just while they're applying, but also while they're going through the offer and onboarding process. So again, just reinforcing your point, Sandeep, about just providing cultural information that will make the candidate enthusiastic to join the organisation.
Thanks. I just wanted to maybe ask one final question that's come in around about the research that WCN did, and it's on the screens now. Does this ring true to what Penn has found, Sandeep?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think with volume recruitment, it's more about the motivation and attitude, because a lot of clients that we've spoken to in the past that we've onboarded, one of their biggest objectives and equally challenges have been around the attrition levels and the cost of recruitment. As soon as they hire, they're having to kind of go out to market again, just due to the number of people leaving the business. And also there's a negative cost for a disengaged workforce or a population of within that. So it's really important to kind of have that cluster of attitude and motivation as the ones are the front runners. And typically in high volume recruitment, you can very much train that individual up if they have those two behaviours.
And Steve, how about you? Does this ring true to what employers tend to tell you?
Absolutely. We're due to go live with a large private healthcare provider who have to hire over 6,000 carers a year. And then moving away from hiring based on experience and actually looking to hire based on the fit within the organisation. So using more tailored assessments rather than just relying on the CV.
Well, thank you very much to you both. That was really, really useful, and I hope the audience gathered a lot of new information from that and the excellent slideshows that we had today. You can continue to join the discussion with WCN events. The next key themes are the future of immersion talent, where we're focusing on using data insights to transform graduate recruitment wherever you're hiring. And that's transatlantic, so New York first on 11th of May, and London on the 19th of May. Steve will be happy to put you in contact with the right person if you do want to attend those. So his email address is on the screen. The phone number is also on the screen now. If you do have any questions around this presentation, this webinar, please do not hesitate to get in contact with him. And you can also find him on LinkedIn. In terms of upcoming events, we've got another webinar coming up on the 18th of April to transform your in-house recruitment. That's been done with Kesh Ladwa, who is recruitment manager at Warwickshire and West Mercia Police. who've been up for multiple awards this year in the ONREC Recruiter Awards and others as well. And we've also got the Future of Emerging Talent seminar series, as just discussed. That's one on the 19th May in the Institute of Directors. So if you want to bag a space for that, please do get in contact with us. For now, all I've got to say is thank you very much to everybody for tuning in. Thank you very much to Steve and Sandeep for being eager correspondents today. This webinar has been recorded, so it will be available for you to share with peers later on today. If you want to get in contact with us, we'd be very happy to hear from you, and we'd welcome any feedback on the webinar. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.